Hi, friends. I am excited. I always say that I'm excited about today's topic, but I literally am excited about today's topic because it's not just a topic that I want you to know as if I was your coach, right? Like something that you can do to change. This is specifically for coaches who sometimes have trouble when their clients cannot change their thoughts. So, who are coaches, first of all? Well, life coaches like me, obviously, fall into this category. Health coaches, also like me, fall into this category. People who work with anyone who's trying to achieve, right, move forward towards some kind of goal, and their thought is holding them back. Of course, any coach can be working to achieve, but this is that coach who has the client whose thoughts are holding them back, and the client cannot see a way out of this thought, right? Like, I can only think this one thing. I can't think anything else. And what coaches a lot of times get stuck in is this idea of, well, do I just go ahead and give them what I think they should think? Or do I let them struggle and work through it and like see what comes out of it? And the answer is actually no and no. Because if we're working on it for them, right? Like we come up with what we think they should think, we could potentially kind of guide them astray, leading them down a path that's like not going to work for them. Or worst case scenario, do something even more harmful, like give them a thought that is only going to make it worse. So we don't want to step into that place of consulting. We really don't. Now, don't give up hope yet, because there is a way to do this and it help our clients without actually telling them what to think. So there is hope here. Don't give up on me yet. But we can't step into that place of pure consulting. Like, here is exactly what to think. You think this and you do that. And I would caution my listener that's not a coach against finding a coach that is doing exactly this. Like, here's what you have to think. Now go and think that. Now, sometimes coaches will also work in a consultant capacity. For example, with some of my health clients, I might help them come up with the list of what they're going to do each week based on the pillars of fitness. So I work together with them and I tell them, hey, these are the pillars of fitness. This is what needs to happen every week. And then I work with them to help decide where it's going to fit in. But when it comes to thoughts and the way people are thinking about things, we can't walk in and tell them what to think. We can't do that. On the other hand, letting them struggle is not being a good coach. I mean, yeah, letting them like think about it and letting them sit and challenging their brain, right, to peel back layers, that's totally cool. But ending a coaching call like, well, if you don't know what to think, I can't help you. That is not the way to handle it. We cannot do that. We have to help them get something to latch onto. So today we're going to talk about 5 things that you can do as a coach to give your client a catalyst toward figuring out the better way to think. Isn't this exciting? So if you're a coach, you probably feel me on a soul deep level right now. You've had the client who's just, they keep going back to old habits because it boils down to something that they think about either their ability to achieve or their ability to even harness a good thought. So let's go through these. And I'm going to give you a scenario because I want to give you practical examples. I'm going to give you a personal scenario that some of you have probably heard before if you've been hanging out with me long enough. Some of you probably haven't. I love this scenario because it is such a ridiculous thought that I guarantee someone's going to just, have a good time listening to how I navigate this situation. So my husband does this thing, and he has done since we were dating. Like, this is not a new thing, where he pulls his socks halfway off his feet, right? Imagine he just pulls his socks off of his heel. And in his words, this is helping him regulate his body temperature. I'm not here to tell you what he's thinking. I can't change the way he's thinking, right? I can only change me. And I will tell you this, it used to drive me batty, right? So ridiculous. I know, go ahead, laugh. It's fine. It used to drive me absolutely batty. Like, how in the world can someone think that taking socks off their heel is actually going to help them? And that's where I was. That's where I was for a really long time. And then I was presented with a couple ideas, some helped, some didn't, that allowed me to think about this in a different way. So I'm going to tell you how I got there today. I'm going to take you through these 5 different ways that I could have thought about it and show you which one worked for me. So I want you to think about the acronym SPIN. And this will help you coaches if you just grab a piece of paper right now and write out SPIN. This is, you can tape it by your computer or whatever. This is going to be your next little cheat sheet for all the good coaching that you're going to do coming out of this. So let's say your client can't come up with a better thought. Like, I hate my husband's socks like that. I don't know what else to think. I hate them and I think it's ridiculous and I don't understand. It's not even scientifically proven and I need to argue against this. Okay. If I can't come up with anything else to think about it, let's start walking our clients through it and say, hey, what if I give you a couple different thoughts to try on, just like I'm your personal coaching shopper, and we'll see which one fits. So the first one we'll present them with is, what if we can spin it? So we don't even need the S in this. This is just the word itself. What if we can spin it? Can we put a positive spin on this, or an action-oriented spin, right? Something that you can do about it on this situation and see how that fits with you. So for example, with the socks, could I spin it to be, I like his socks like that. Like, can I convince myself? Can I use my thoughts every time I see the socks? I like it. Oh, I love that. That's so brilliant. Man, he has figured out the way to keeping his body temperature regulated. Awesome. So for me, that didn't work. It might work for your clients. I will say though, this is probably the hardest one. If they didn't come up with this one originally, then if they're in a stuck place, this might be the hardest one. But start there and allow them also to just say, oh, absolutely not. This is ridiculous. And kind of get a little passion around this, because it's going to help guide you through the rest of the process. So number 1, we put a positive spin on the thought and see if that works. Next thing we can try is we put the thought on a scale. So we're going to use the scale of 0 to 10. 10 being, this is exactly the thought that I want to have moving forward. Like, I feel so good about this thought that I can move into that place. 10 out of 10 scale, I'm good to go. 0 out of 10 is like, this thought is so far from where I want to be that and they might be here and it's okay, that I might be able to, a 0 out of 10, my thought is so far away that I cannot see even a way to move forward with this thought. And we can put it on a scale of 0 to 10. You could do a 0 to 5. Sometimes that's easier for our clients to understand. We're used to like 10 out of 10. Yay, woohoo, this thought's awesome. But sometimes 0 to 5 lets them have more wiggle room. So do you really want to be with this thought, or do you absolutely not want to be with this thought? And then now here's the power. The power is actually not the scale. This is the power. The power is, what would it take for it to get all the way to a 10? Even if it's at like an 8 out of 10, what would have to change about this thought to be at a 10 out of 10? I can move forward with this and like, it's going to be beneficial to me. Again, the scale doesn't matter. What matters is that all of a sudden you gave their brain a new door. So they can start to actually have some conversations with you around that thought, right? So far, we're not actually giving them any thoughts. Do you see this? We're not giving them any thoughts. We're giving them new ways for their brains to look at the thought. So for me to have like the 10 out of, the thought probably wasn't that bad. Like, saying that I hate the socks like that, I didn't always react terribly. So it was maybe a 5 out of 10. But to get to a 10, in my mind, I would have to be able to walk into the room, see those socks, and think, like, that's totally fine. Nothing bother me. It doesn't bring up any feelings. That's where I'd have to go. So we could work from that point, say, okay, well, what would you think when you got to that place? And maybe I could come up with something. Maybe I could come up with like, those aren't my feet, those aren't my socks, right? This isn't anything that's going to affect me today. And we can just see if we can hold it. So that's something that just opens up another door for them to create a new thought. So far we have, can you put a positive spin on it? And then putting it into the scale. And again, the question of how to get to 10 is the most important part here. Third thing we can do, and you can do these in order or not. You're going to know your client. You're going to know what direction they're headed in. You might try some of these on them and they hate it, so you never bring it up again. But again, this is the third one, not necessarily in this order. I want to make that clear. Number 3, or on the P, SP, is perspective. And this works if the thought is about someone else. Like there's another person involved in this thought. A lot of times clients will come to you and they really want change in someone else. And even when they know, oh man, I have clients, and they know like that's not what we do. We don't change other people, but they still really wish for change in another individual. And we can't coach the other person. I mean, we could, they could come and be our client too, but we're not going to coach them through their partner or their coworker or whatever it is. So then we offer them perspective. Well, what if you were to look at it from the other person's point of view? What do you think they are thinking? Right? So, and again, remind them this, you don't have to agree with any of this, but what do you think they are thinking? My husband was thinking he had it all figured out. He was hot and he wanted to cool down and he knew how to do it. He just slipped his socks off his heels. Right? And yeah, again, like I feel ridiculous saying that. That's okay. But then when we get to this point, after we offer them the perspective, then we can say, is there any place that you could move into that perspective a little bit, right? Say their thoughts are very, very, very far apart. Okay, what about their perspective could you agree with? I could agree with the temperature in the room. Right? I could totally agree with that. I agree. I can agree with looking for a way to make myself feel more comfortable. I can even agree with the fact, and this is a hard one for me, but I can even agree with this fact that he might not want to change the temperature in the house because he knows that I'm comfortable. Right? So especially I was noticing this like when I was pregnant and all over the place with temperature needs, but he would put on warm clothes if I wanted the air down, and then maybe just slip the socks off his heels to regulate a little bit. So I could move into that a little bit more. And it actually does make me feel, oh, okay, I'm not like livid about this situation right now anymore, because I do understand why he's doing it, but it still really, 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 really bothers me, right? So maybe I'm still seeking a thought. So you've done 3 things with them, maybe, depending on where you started. You've tried to put in a positive spin. You've given them the scale and asked them what it would take to get to the 10. You've put it in perspective and asked them to shift a little bit closer to the other person. And then the 4th one is the I, recognizing what is ineffective or immature about your thought. So this kind of goes into that idea of perspective too, but now we're taking a perspective on our thought and looking for maybe places like little holes in our rationale. So what is ineffective? Like, what are you thinking that's just, it's not helping you, it's not helping the situation, it's just making it worse. So my agitation around the socks was only making it worse. Only making it worse. So what was the thought that was bringing me to that point of agitation? It was, this is ridiculous. Right? I was putting the ridiculous statement on there. It didn't need to be. It didn't need to be ridiculous. It could just be that the socks were coming off the heels and I thought it was silly. Like it could be silly and different. Maybe different is better, but it didn't have to be ridiculous. That was an ineffective addition to that thought. And also the I is what is immature. And this is when we let them say, okay, I'm going to let you just kind of be a baby about it for a second. Right? We have this thing in the Covenant Coach Academy where we talk about tantrum therapy. That's where I got certified, by the way, Covenant Coach Academy. Highly recommend. But we do tantrum therapy, and part of it is we let our clients really have a tantrum. There's a whole step and process that we do after this, and it's amazing. This is just a little way that we can do it too, is we let them be immature for a second, and we can write down those things that we hear as a coach. We kind of take a couple little notes, like, all right, let's break this down. Now I want you to step back into this adult body and let's look at this. Like, is this real? Is this really where you want to go? Do you feel better now that you've said it? But can we start to work on moving forward? Like, I could have a total, probably not anymore, but I used to be able to have a whole tantrum about these stupid socks. And yeah, I said stupid. Sorry, I have a 5 and a 3-year-old. And if I would have said the word stupid and they were with me, it would have been like, ooh, mama. But I'm going to say stupid right now because I can. So yeah, we thought it was like, I thought it was absolutely stupid. And I just kind of went off in my head. And sometimes I wouldn't even say anything to him, but you know how it is. Like, you're doing this whole thing in your head and you're being grumpy and you're really hard to be around. You know you are, because you're storming around. You deep down inside kind of want to be hard to be around. Like, you better notice me stomping or I'm going to get more annoyed. So we recognize what is ineffective and immature about it, and then say, okay, what if we took all this away? What's left? Well, I don't like it. I don't like his socks being off his heels. All right. Is that anything that I need to try to change? Like, why is that affecting me so much? We ask our clients, why is that affecting you so much? What can we do to make it affect us less? So we've got so far 4 different things that we can do with our client. I've got the like money one at the end, the best one that I can think of. So can you help them do the positive spin? Is that going to work? Can you give them the scale? Is that going to work? Can you do perspective? Is that going to work? Can we identify the ineffective and immature? Is that going to work? If they are still stuck, here's where we pulled out that gorgeous ball gown that's been hiding back in stock that we've been saving for the right moment. The last one, the N, is neutralize. Because sometimes here's what happens. We have this thought and we're trying to shift it to be this way better thought. We're stuck in the idea that we need to be moving forward and having all these big grandiose, and we can have the dreams, the visions, the goals. That's perfectly fine. But we want to all of a sudden shift everything to positive thoughts, positive action. Go, 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 go. Flip it all to the better side. Sometimes that is too big of a mountain to climb, right? If I've been frustrated about these socks for 15 years, now sometimes the other stuff will work. Don't discount it. Don't go right to this one just because it's an old thought. Don't discount all those other ones, because you never know when it just hasn't been presented that way. This is going to be typically the very last one we do. I know I say the other ones can be done in any order. This one's typically the very last one we do, because we've kind of exhausted all of our strategies of helping them flip it to a better thought, and a thought that's going to help them move forward. So the N stands for neutralize. We're going to neutralize this thought. Say, okay, I get it. We can't change this thought today to something positive and something that's going to create this beautiful scenario. This, like, I'm not going to run in, pardon me, I'm not going to run in and when I see my husband's sock off, be like, oh yeah, baby, that's it. Like, that's what turns me on. No, probably not going to happen. That's too big of a stretch. So what if I neutralize it? Why would this be effective? Why would neutralizing a thought be effective? Meaning, this is what that means, by the way. This is what it would look like. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, socks, I hate them, it's so stupid, body temperature, blah, blah, blah. I just walk in like, okay, look at those socks. Socks, socks, socks. Foot, foot, foot. Husband, husband, husband. Right? I just recognize what's there, and I don't put anything on it at all. And it takes practice. It's almost like a little mantra. Socks, socks. Yep. Look at those socks. Look at that. Oh, there's the husband. There's the sock. There's the foot. Foot, sock, husband. Right? So we're completely neutralizing it. And why is it effective? It sounds so dumb. Why is it effective? Because here's what happens. All of the thoughts that we have rolling around are what's going on. That's why we are exhibiting the feelings and having the feelings that we have. Nothing else can change it except for changing what's happening in our head, right? That is what is resulting in the feelings. Think about even depression, clinical depression. Someone is like bottom of the barrel, horrible, like it's so bad. Yeah, we know exercise can help. We know all these other things can help, but at the end of the day, you're going to need some medication to help with what's going on in the brain, in the thoughts, right? If you are clinically, I'm not talking holiday blues. I'm talking really bad depression. Temporarily, maybe longer, you're going to need some help with what's going on in your head, because that's the only way that you can feel better. It's the only way that will work for that individual. So we have to be able to change what's happening in our head so that all of those hormones and those neurotransmitters, whatever, are not going to be released into our body to make us feel bad and act nasty, right? Acting out on these feelings that we have. So by neutralizing it, it's not like we're shifting it to something that we love, but we're stopping at the thought, all the feelings and the actions that typically come after that actually are what are making our life really cruddy. Because it wasn't the socks. It really wasn't the socks that was the problem. It was my feelings when I saw them and my actions and words, anything that I did after I saw the socks. So neutralizing it can be super effective. And eventually, if necessary, in the sock situation, you know what? Neutralizing is going to be fine forever. I can keep that forever because I don't need that to shift to something positive, right? But in other cases, we might. So we could neutralize it and then revisit the spin technique the next week and say, okay, so you tried it for a week, neutralizing it. How do you feel now? You feel like we could move into a place where there's a positive spin, or we can figure out a way to get to that 10 of the thought, right? Neutralizing it maybe took it to the middle range. Can you get more perspective on the situation this week now that you've neutralized it and you've taken your feelings out? Now that you've taken your feelings out, is it easier to identify the ineffective or immature thoughts? So that could be the one that helps you do like spin part 2 the next time that you meet. So coaches, I hope this is a game changer. I know it will be if you let it. I would love to hear back from you as to what you're doing and how you're using this. Of course, if you're here on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe for more from the Life Coach Lifeline podcast. And if wherever you are, please make sure you leave a comment and rate us and let us know how much you enjoy the podcast. See you next time.